expecting market forces to have competition to enhance student learning and to make schools more accountable? Or can they really be about innovation in teaching and learning? So that has to be clear in the legislation. I think a second factor is that there has to be a lot of clarity in the legislation to instruct how a group of educators and teachers and parents would start a charter school. So what's necessary in creating a charter, how they go about the application process, who's going to grant the charter, and most importantly about the accountability function, because charter schools have a high level of accountability. So what do schools need to do to demonstrate that they're accountable and that they're successful? A third factor would be that there has to be sufficient funding up front to help schools in the startup. And finally, there has to be a designated body within government that's going to oversee the development and evolution of charter schools, that's going to look after granting them charters, and is also going to look after the renewal process.
So there has to be political will there to do that.
Absolutely, because when they see them, when they give birth to these schools, they have to kind of see them through the maturation, and of course there's going to be bumps along the way, so there has to be somebody or some group within government that's going to assume the responsibility for these schools.
Now, Judy, is it easy to start a charter school?
Well, what I would say is it's enormous fun, but easy wouldn't exactly be the word that I would use. There's challenges on many fronts.
What are some of those challenges?
Well, I think first and foremost for us was the struggle we had in terms of finally accessing a building to get into. We didn't get our building until the 17th of August this year. Teachers started work on the 23rd of August, and children were in right after Labor Day.
And that seems to be a familiar story for charter schools in Alberta.
Certainly it is. And I guess one of the things then that became a bit of a challenge when we got into the building was the building itself. Our building is probably 30 years old, and for the last 20 of those years has been a lease building to a private school. During that time, the building itself had been let a bit run to rack and ruin, and so there are still issues in terms of the quality of the spaces that exist within our site that we're disappointed in.
Well, does the board have a policy of actually giving some of its worst maintained schools to the charter schools?
It's interesting you would ask that, Andrew. A short while ago there was an article in the Calgary Herald where Calgary Board of Education was talking about the difficulties associated with maintaining to an adequate standard all of the buildings in its inventory, and noted quite boldly, I might add, was that Calgary Board's statement was that, in fact, the worst of their inventory of schools really needn't be a concern because they had, in fact, been leased to charter schools. So we have inherited that legacy.
We're talking to members of the Senate at the Calgary Girls' School. And gals, maybe you can introduce yourselves.
I'm Christine, and I'm in grade 8, and I come from the southwest of Calgary, and I live in Signal Hill right near West Hills.
I'm Michelle Abbott, and I come from Somerset in the southwest, and I'm in grade 7.
I'm Olivia. I'm in grade 7, and I come from Dalhousie in the northwest.
What I've kind of heard is that we sit in as an advisory to our principal, and we are told that we're kind of representatives for our school. So, for example, if we were to have to go to another school and speak about our school, we'd most likely be the girls from our school that would go and speak a little bit about Calgary Girls' School.
What is a charter school?
Well, that is a hard question. I believe that a charter school is a place where, even if it's not, say, if it's one gender, I find it's a place where you can come and you're at peace, because I find this a very peaceful school, and our learning is extremely good because we don't have the rush, like Christine said, 45 minutes here, 45 minutes here, 45 minutes here.
What about you, Michelle? Why did you choose to come to an all-girls school?
I also made my own choice of coming here. I had gone to the same school for 7 years, and I needed a bit of change because I knew everybody, and I wanted to see what it'd be like to go to a new school. And at first, when my mom saw the flyer, as Christine said, I thought it was like the best idea I've ever heard.
Well, I think that the main reason I came here is because of our principals. We've got 2 great principals whom I've had before, and I know how great they are. And I find that if you have good principals, you have good teachers, and then you have good students.
One of the largest freedoms I think we have as a charter public school has to do with our ability to step outside some of the guidelines and some of the policies, personalities, and procedures associated with working in a unionized environment. Our teachers are, in fact, not members of the Alberta Teachers Association. They are associate members, not full members. And what that means is that we are able, actually, to venture into some fairly uncharted territory around their work. Specifically, our teachers participate in a small merit pay system here at the school. And it's somewhat entangled, if you will, with another piece of innovation, and that is that the girls and their parents also participate in a component of teacher evaluation. For those of you who are familiar with unionized teaching environments, you would understand that both of those innovations are never welcome within that particular scenario.
Thank you!
Well, there you have it. Charter schools. What are they? They're just an alternative public school. They're choice with voice. They're thinking outside of the big box of education. They also reflect the diversity of the communities we have in Canada. They operate in and respect parental choice. They also respect the right of teachers to assemble together and to teach the way they feel is most effective for the children they have. Every one of the schools that we've looked at in this documentary are all very high achieving. They've done great things. But almost everyone agrees that they haven't done enough about sharing their stories with the public. But there's one thing that the parents and the teachers and the kids all agree on, and that is that charter schools really represent the bright side of public education.
And I have had many discussions at the university when I go to the Center for Leadership and Learning dinners, where you have superintendents and principals and administrators, and they don't know what a charter school is. They say, oh, well, of course you guys can do great things. You're private education. No, we are not private education. We are public education.
Hey, it's an alternative. It's choice with voice. It's direct instruction. It's problem-solving learning. It's a school that offers courses about women's studies and women's history. It's a great diversity of things. Different things for different communities. And as we've said all along, it's schooling outside the box. Thanks for your time.